Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Leslie. Speaking of throwing our love, I love that line. I love it. Let's do this one. This one is called Magic Penny. And we're going to do some throwing and some showing and some giving it away. Here we go. Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more. It's just like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, you'll have so many, they'll roll all over the floor. Back to the top, here we go. Love is something if you give it away. Let's give it. Give it away. Give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more. Let's do that again. Love is something if you give it away. Again. Give it away. Again. Give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more. It's just like a magic penny. Hold it tight and you won't have many. Lend it, spend it, you'll have so many, they'll roll all over the floor. For love is something if you give it away. Give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you'll end up having more.
This morning, I'd like to tell you a story about Minnie and Homer. Minnie was starved for affection. Throughout the many years she and Homer had been married, he'd never shown her any outward signs that he loved her. And one day, Minnie couldn't stand it any longer, and she blurted out, "Homer, why don't you ever tell me you love me?" No, Homer didn't even smile. "Minnie," he replied, "when we were married, I told you I loved you. If I ever change my mind, I'll let you know." For some unfathomable reason, that story brought to my mind something that had happened to me. This is part of my past life experience. As we were walking out of the divorce court, my ex took me aside, looked me in the eye, and said, "I never stopped loving you." And I wondered why she hadn't said that for the past 26 years. Come to think of it, it had probably been at least 20 years since I last said I love you. 30 years of unity and a lot of hindsight have suggested to me that I'd spent too many of those years enjoying being a victim. I've since learned that there's no future in victimhood. Now I attribute that experience to divine order. If it hadn't turned out the way it did, I never would have met Beth. The lessons I learned the first time around made sure I would never fall into that trap again. The strongest feeling I have to this day is gratitude for the almost 30 years I was privileged to share my life and love with Beth. Now, I can't count the number of times I said I love you to Beth. It was at least 5 or 6 times every day. I couldn't even keep up with the number of times Beth said she loved me. And I have never been more sure of anything. As I pointed out when Beth and I were courting, love is being shared here, and I still feel that to this very day. Now, you may be wondering what this has to do with the Christmas season, so a little review might be in order. Today is the third Sunday of Advent. Now, the themes for the first week of Advent were faith and hope. Two themes, because faith and hope overlap. They go together like a horse and carriage. Without faith, there is no hope. The theme for the second week of Advent was peace. You know, what the world needs now. This week's theme is love. Arguably the most important theme of all. Now, it's interesting that the word love never shows up in the New Testament account of the Nativity. Check it out, it's not there. It could be that Mary did say it to the baby Jesus, I love you. I hope she did. In fact, I'm pretty sure she did. After all, while men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We'll never know for sure whether anyone in a cast of characters said anything about love. The gospel writers didn't report it. Now, that doesn't take away from the importance of love as a Christmas theme. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John used the word 58 times as they reported the ministry of Jesus. It just wasn't mentioned in the Nativity story. Now, it appears 584 times in the entire Bible. It must be an important idea to Christians. After all, its 58 occurrences in the Gospels reflect the teachings of Jesus. Jesus, whose birth we celebrate, left no doubt as to the importance of love. 3 of the 4 Gospel writers reported this saying attributed to Jesus. I quote the Gospel of Matthew. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now, it's important that we not overlook any of the 3 targets of our love. Do you consider yourself a true Christian? Jesus has commanded us to love God. Anybody have a problem with that? Secondly, we're to love our neighbor. Now, I'm not a gambler, but I am willing to bet that Jesus was not referring to the people whose houses are nearest to ours. I'm betting Jesus meant all our fellow human beings on this planet. The key word is all. How are we doing on that one? Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, we're to love ourselves. For many of us, this seems to be the most difficult. Can you think of anybody more critical of you than you yourself? Now, why is this so important? This is my opinion, but I just can't see any individual who has no love for himself or herself loving anybody else or even loving God. I could be wrong, but it is worth thinking about. Now, one of my favorite Bible references is chapter 13 of Paul's first letter to the Corinthians. Paul wrote, love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. And the Apostle Paul went on to explain how he ranked love above all the other virtues. And now, faith, hope, and love abide. And the greatest of these is love. So if we combine the statements of Jesus and Paul, we realize that this divine love is unconditional. We need do nothing to earn it. Others need not meet any expectations to receive it from us. The idea that I'll love you if you love me is not in the law. Love bears all things. According to Paul, God expects us to remember that. There is a song in Unity's hymnal titled Love Came Down at Christmas. Let's acknowledge that love is no less important in any other month than it is during the Christmas season. Nevertheless, Christmas is a good time for us to remind ourselves how adamant Jesus was about the importance of love. Christmas can be the cosmic 2x4, the aha moment that awakens the love faculty in any individual's consciousness. Now here's a case in point. Does the word Grinch bring love to mind? Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. Could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Now that was a quote from Theodore Geisel, who wrote under the name of Dr. Seuss. He may have been a doctor, but I take issue with a literal interpretation of his diagnosis. Let us look at it metaphysically. Think about it. If the Grinch's heart had been 2 sizes too small, the story could never have turned out as it did. The Grinch is just like you and me. His heart is the right size, and it's in the right place. As Reverend Beth liked to say, God didn't create no junk. The Gospel of John tells us that we can do anything Jesus did, and I'm sure the writer of John meant to include the Grinch. God created all of us perfect and complete with the power of love within us. Can it be that something in the Grinch's experience was blocking the power of love from his consciousness? Again, let us consider the Grinch metaphysically. This means we need to let the Grinch's story be our story. Have you ever allowed a past experience to block the power of love from your consciousness? If you have, just remember, you have heard Reverend Todd speak about forgiveness. Were you listening? Here's another example. Bah, humbug. If I had my way, every idiot who goes around with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly in his heart. Now, I guess I don't have to tell you who I'm talking about. Can you visualize love and Ebenezer Scrooge in the same thought? Probably not. The word Scrooge has so often been associated with the image of negativity that it's been added to dictionaries. My Webster's Unabridged defines a Scrooge as any miserly person. Bob Cratchit's wife would agree. She said Scrooge was a hard, stingy, unfeeling man. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. Secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheeks, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head and on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw 1 degree at Christmas. Now, so many people have become familiar with that image that the word Scrooge is now used in everyday speech. The dictionary even gives an example. I quote, "He's too much of a Scrooge to contribute to the church fund." Now, those are not my words. That was verbatim right out of Webster's dictionary. Christmas, as we all know, is a celebration of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth. In Unity, we think of Jesus as our teacher and way shower. And perhaps Jesus' most important teaching was that we should love God and love our neighbors as ourselves. And Jesus also introduced us to the concept of the Christ within. Therefore, we remember and celebrate the birth of the Christ within ourselves. Now, I don't know if you're constantly conscious of the Christ within you. I would like to say I am, but when I'm feeling the stress of Christmas shopping, I sometimes emulate Ebenezer Scrooge. There are people out there that I'd like to see boiled in their own pudding. Do any of you ever feel like that? Have you ever encountered people who affected you in ways that made you forget that the Christ is within all human beings? I'm guessing you have. I know I have. We think of those people as Scrooges or Grinches. Now, Bob Cratchit had the temerity to ask for a shovel of coal to heat his workspace. Have we judged Scrooge because he threatened to fire Bob? Have we judged Scrooge for rebuffing his nephew's invitation to Christmas? Ooh, I have to think seriously about that one. I'm thankful for not having been judged for my rebuffing an invitation to Thanksgiving. Thank you, friends. I love you. You know who you are. How do we feel about Scrooge's refusal to donate to the fund to feed the poor on Christmas? Did Scrooge have to chase away the child singing a Christmas carol at his door? As long as I'm asking questions, have we sometimes forgotten that Jesus advised us to not judge by appearances? Is it even possible to hold the Christ spirit in consciousness and think of another person as a Scrooge or Grinch? Where is the love in our own hearts when we overlook the experiences that motivate his or her behaviors? Can we express love while we forget to empathize? Can any of us be part of the reason why the Grinch and Ebenezer Scrooge behave the ways they do? If your answer to any of those questions is yes, perhaps you're waiting for that cosmic 2x4 provided by the Christmas season. You see, in both the story of the Grinch and the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, love did come down at Christmas. Right at the critical point in each story, the main characters encountered angels. The Grinch's angel was a 2-year-old child named Cindy Lou Who. Who knew? Now, I've never been able to think of a 2-year-old child as an angel, but that's my judgment. I'm working on getting over it. Scrooge encountered 4 angels. Charles Dickens called them ghosts, but considering their roles in the story, they have to be considered angels. Now, I've never been able to come up with a literal image of angels, but I like Charles Fillmore's description. He said, angels are the imaging power of the mind, receiving divine ideas and reflecting them into consciousness. In other words, angels are the energy behind our aha moments. Cindy Lou was truly an angel. No matter what the citizens of Whoville said about the Grinch, and no matter how badly the Grinch behaved, Cindy Lou perceived the Christ within him. It was there. It had been there the whole time. How many of you familiar with the story noticed the Christ within the Grinch? Now, speaking of perception, how many of you have thought of ghosts as angels? I'll bet most of you have never thought of it that way. Charles Dickens described the ghost of Jacob Marley as a frightening apparition. And when I first saw the movie, I was certainly frightened. There's no angel I saw. That, of course, was my judgment at the time. Ghost or angel? Marley's purpose was to demonstrate what Scrooge had become. He was there to show the why to Scrooge. What do you get when you add why to miser? I think you know. You get misery. And poor Marley had to carry those chains for 7 years before Scrooge got the message. Now, besides Marley's ghost, Scrooge had to contend with the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. If you're familiar with the story, you remember that Scrooge found his experiences with the four ghosts to be very unpleasant. But how many of you remember that Scrooge went through the ordeal with a surprisingly positive attitude? That memory ought to change our own definition of Scrooge. The Ghost of Christmas Past subjected Scrooge to some painful flashbacks. In the movie version, the Grinch also revisited some painful memories. Both saw the circumstances in their younger years that caused them to become embittered. Now I remind you that we've been looking at these stories metaphysically. These are our stories too. We've all experienced unpleasantness in our lives. Not everything that's happened to us has been just or fair. Am I right? Have we felt any bitterness about those things? The question is, shall we allow bitterness to dominate our lives as Scrooge and the Grinch did? As I mentioned earlier, there is no future in victimhood. Scrooge's potential for love was demonstrated by his response to the ghost of Christmas present. He said, "Spirit, conduct me where you will. I went forth last night on compulsion, and I learnt the lesson which is working now. Tonight, if you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it." How often does that thought come to mind when you think of Scrooge? The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come showed Scrooge scenes that broke his heart. He discovered the lonely nature of his own death, was shocked to observe his debtors worrying about to whom they could repay their debts. And he had never trusted them. Scrooge was filled with great regret as he observed his nephew consoling the Cratchits as they mourned the death of Tiny Tim. A step in the right direction, but regret is not always a good thing. We can be so overcome with regret that we're unable to take the actions that would save the day. I'm happy to report that Scrooge was above all that. He promised the Spirit that he would change his ways. He would make amends. As Dickens wrote, Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city, town, and borough in the good old world. And I believe that is worthy of celebration. But where did we leave the Grinch who had stolen Whoville's Christmas? Well, it started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sounded merry. It couldn't be so. But it was merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? He came without ribbons. He came without tags. He came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours, till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, down in Whoville they say that the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he, himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Now, Charles Fillmore defined love in the revealing word. He said, "Divine love is impersonal. It loves for the sake of loving. It is not concerned with what or who it loves, nor with the return of love." He said further, Love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and in all things. Now, whether we've finished our Christmas shopping or not, we all have the most important gift we can give. The law of love is based on abundance. We all have it. We have enough to share with the whole world without giving it all away. When we give our love to others, we gain. And what we give, we simultaneously receive. So by giving away our love, we increase the love within us, and everybody gains. Now this is my challenge for this Christmas season. Ebenezer Scrooge did it. Scrooge learned that love is the real energy of the universe. And he discovered happiness only when he allowed the love of God to flow through him. And the Grinch got the same message. Christmas is a season of love. And the best gift we can give anyone is an expression of love, admiration, and appreciation we feel for them. What greater gifts can we share this Advent season? Loving kindness, warm hearts, and the outstretched hand of tolerance. This was the main point of Jesus' ministry. This is the reason he came. And I'm just now learning that this is the real reason I came. God loves you all. I love you all. That wasn't easy for me to say, by the way. But I love you all. And in the words of Tiny Tim, God bless us, everyone. Merry Christmas.
I love your messages, Charlie. Let us do this one together.
World needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there is just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Love, 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 love. Love, love, love.
As we prepare to spend a few moments in silence, opening ourselves to the guidance of Spirit, I remind you of Jesus' commandment as reported in the Gospel of John. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. And as I speak these words of affirmation, I speak for myself. But I invite you to allow my words to be your words. Allow these words to affirm your love. Today I will take the words of Jesus to heart and abide in love everywhere I go. I listen carefully, speak words of comfort and support, and I speak these words from the kindness of my heart, because I choose to be divine love in expression. By remaining attuned to the power of love within, I can respond to any situation with empathy and patience. I need not wait for a special occasion to let others know how I feel about them. Even when my patience is challenged, I let love flow from my heart to those needing understanding. I choose loving kindness, even when I am tempted to turn away from an uncomfortable situation. I now invite you to join me in spending a few moments in silence, allowing thoughts of love to swirl around us, opening ourselves to any aha moments. In the silence. I don't know what other people are going through, or what frustrating or unfortunate conditions have caused their moods. But when I respond from the love in my heart, I become a channel for blessings. I do not stop showing love to those who are close to me. I feel love for all those beyond the boundaries of my consciousness. I speak gently and act humanely and empathetically. I expand my expression of love to encircle all people everywhere. I graciously give with an open heart and gratefully accept the love that returns to bless me. I allow this season of the Advent of the Christ to be my aha moment, reminding me that I am the Christ. I delight in receiving divine love and allowing it to flow through me to all the world. And so it is. Amen.
World needs now is love, sweet love.
one by Karen Drucker. There is only love. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, I go inside and I quiet my mind, and I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only